Welcome back. Today we're addressing one of the biggest issues in the world right now, Islamophobia. In this video, we'll clear up some of the most common misconceptions about Islam. If there's anything else you'd like explained, feel free to leave it in the comments, inshallah. When people look at Islam today, many of them don't see the religion itself. They see headlines, propaganda, cultural practices, politics, and misunderstandings that have absolutely nothing to do with what Allah revealed. And so the world ends up believing things about Islam that are either half-truths, misunderstood, or complete fabrications. This narration simply clears those misconceptions in a straightforward, honest way. One of the most widespread misconceptions is the claim that Muslims worship the Kaaba or the Black Stone. This is completely false. Muslims worship only Allah, not a structure, not an object, not a stone. The Kaaba is a direction, Qibla, commanded by Allah for unity. Before that, Muslims prayed facing Jerusalem. If they worshipped the Kaaba, they would never have changed the direction. The Kaaba is a symbol of unity, not a deity. No Muslim bows to it. We bow to Allah. A related myth is the old Orientalist claim that Allah is a moon god. This was invented by 19th century missionaries who lacked linguistic knowledge. Allah simply means the one God in Arabic. Arab Christians and Jews used the word Allah long before Islam. Even today, Christian Arabs call God Allah in their Bibles. Islam rejected moon worship and every pagan ritual. The Qur'an constantly condemns worship of the sun, moon, stars, and idols. If anything, Islam came to end all forms of moon worship. Another famous misconception is the accusation that Islam was spread by the sword. History simply does not support this. There were regions conquered politically, as all empires did. But the overwhelming spread of Islam, from Indonesia to East Africa, happened without any army present. India was majority Hindu even after 800 years of Muslim rule. Spain remained majority Christian for centuries under Muslim governance. Forced conversions are prohibited in the Qur'an. There is no compulsion in religion. Political expansion and personal faith are not the same thing. People often claim that Islam promotes violence, usually quoting verses out of context. The Qur'an speaks about war because every nation at the time faced war, but it sets rules. No killing civilians, no killing women, children, monks, or the elderly. No harming trees, no torture, no aggression. The permission to fight appears only in the context of self-defense and protection against persecution. Translated correctly, every verse extremists or Islamophobes misuse is either referring to a specific battle, a specific enemy who broke treaties, or self-defense legislation. Everyday Muslims live by verses such as, "Whoever kills one innocent soul, it is as if he killed all mankind," not by cherry-picked wartime passages. Then there is the often repeated claim that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, married a 6-year-old, as if this is the core of Islamic marriage law. The actual historical picture is far more nuanced. Her age is debated by early scholars, evidence from history comparison to her older sister. And Muslim and non-Muslim sources suggest she was likely older. But even if considering the younger age narration, marriages in that era across the world, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, and tribal, happened after puberty. It was culturally normal and not viewed as immoral in any society at that time. Islam's teachings on marriage today are clear. Marriage requires maturity, consent, and well-being. Islam does not promote child marriage. Cultures do, not religions. When people question the marriages of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, they ignore a simple truth. Except for one, all of his wives were older, divorced, or widowed. If the false claims were true, he would have married only young girls, yet he didn't. His marriages were based on compassion, protection, and community needs. And if we look at Jewish and biblical history, marriages to much younger girls were historically common and culturally normal across the region. For example, in the story of Isaac and Rebekah in the Torah, Rebekah is described as a very young girl at the time of marriage. Similarly, King David marries Abishag when she is described as a young maiden. These were accepted norms in their societies. So singling out Islam while ignoring identical norms in biblical traditions is not fairness. It's selective criticism. Another misconception is that women in Islam are oppressed, or that Islam sees women as inferior. This is not only false, it is the opposite of the Qur'an's actual teachings. Islam gave women the right to own property, inherit, divorce, choose their spouse, vote, and run businesses, centuries before other civilizations even considered it. The hijab, often seen as oppression, is a command from Allah for dignity and protection. Similar to head coverings in Christianity and Judaism, cultural mistreatment of women, forced marriages, honor killings, restrictions on education are sins in Islam, not teachings of Islam. Another misunderstanding surrounds Sharia, with many thinking it means barbaric punishments. In reality, Sharia means the path to water, a path of justice, mercy, worship, ethics, and law. Strict criminal punishments people sensationalize exist under extremely specific conditions that almost no modern state fulfills. Classical Sharia courts rarely applied those punishments because the evidentiary standards were nearly impossible to meet. Sharia is primarily about prayer, honesty, contracts, family rights, financial fairness, and charity. People often claim that Islam opposes modern science. This is simply not true. The Qur'an encourages reflection, study, and seeking knowledge. Historically, Muslim scholars pioneered medicine, algebra, optics, astronomy, and hospitals. The scientific tradition in Islam is deeply rooted, not accidental. A common misconception from Hindu, Christian, and certain Jewish websites is the false idea that Muslims want to dominate the world by force, when in reality Muslims simply want to practice their faith in peace. The Muslim population today is roughly 25%, and the vast majority are peaceful, working, contributing citizens. The image of domination is political propaganda, not religious doctrine. Another false claim is that Muslims cannot be loyal citizens, or that they secretly want Sharia to replace every government. Islam teaches loyalty to one's land, keeping promises, respecting authority, and living peacefully under any government that allows freedom to worship. There's also the stereotype that Islam promotes terrorism, when statistically the majority of terrorist attacks worldwide are committed by non-Muslims, yet only Muslim crimes are branded Islamic. The truth is, Islam condemns killing innocents unequivocally. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, forbade harming civilians, animals, and the environment even during war. Extremists represent no one but themselves, and Islamophobes deliberately hide the fact that the biggest victims of extremists are Muslims themselves. Some also say Muslims don't believe in Jesus or disrespect him. In truth, Islam considers Jesus, peace be upon him, one of the greatest prophets, born miraculously, the Messiah, and a sign of Allah's power. Muslims reject only the idea of making him God, not Jesus himself. Hinduism and many other religions don't even acknowledge him in their theology, yet Islam gives him a central, respected place in its message. It's interesting that Jesus is actually rejected by many Jewish groups even today, while Muslims honor him as the Messiah, a mighty prophet, and born miraculously by the command of Allah. Islam completes the story logically. The same God who sent Abraham, Moses, David, and Jesus, peace be upon them all, also sent Muhammad, peace be upon him, as the final messenger. There is also the misconception that jihad means holy war, when the primary meaning is struggle against the ego, injustice, ignorance, and oppression. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said the greatest jihad is the struggle against one's own self. And if Islam were from Satan, why would it command the exact opposite of satanic values? Why would it abolish polytheism, black magic, alcohol, usury, murder, adultery, and corruption? Why would it revive the pure message of the Ten Commandments and restore the honor of prophets like Lot and David, who were portrayed in the Bible with human weaknesses but are shown in the Qur'an as noble role models? Everything Islam calls for is purity, discipline, morality, and worship of the one true God, not misguidance. Lastly, some people believe Muslims hate Jews or Christians. Islam teaches respect for all people of the book. The Qur'an commands Muslims to speak kindly to them, honor their prophets, and deal with them justly. Politics and injustices done by governments are not religion. When these misconceptions are removed, what remains is a simple truth. Islam is a faith of clarity, worship of one God, justice, mercy, dignity, and purpose. The noise around it is a mixture of politics, media sensationalism, cultural errors, and deliberate misinformation. But the teachings of Islam, when read directly, are pure, balanced, and rooted in truth.